Your child goes silent. You ask what is wrong. Nothing. You ask again. Still nothing. And somehow, in that silence, everything gets worse. This moment, the shutdown, the blank stare, the walls going up, is one of the most misread moments in parenting. Most parents take it personally. Some get louder. Some walk away in frustration. And almost all of them are missing what is actually happening inside their child's body in that exact moment. Because this is not about attitude. It is not defiance. It is not your child choosing to punish you with silence. What you are watching is biology. And once you understand what is actually happening, everything changes. Let's start with the brain. Your child's nervous system is not a smaller version of yours. It is a work in progress. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for language, logic, emotional regulation, and rational thought, is not fully developed until a person is in their mid-20s. In children, this region is the last to come online, and the first to go offline under stress. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA, describes this as flipping the lid. When a child feels emotionally overwhelmed, the rational brain essentially disconnects from the emotional brain. The child is no longer operating from the thinking part of their mind. They are operating entirely from survival circuitry. So when you walk over and ask your child to explain themselves, to use their words, to just talk to you, you're asking a brain that has temporarily lost access to language to produce language. That is not stubbornness. That is neurological reality. Here's something most parents never get told. The shutdown is not the problem. The shutdown is the solution. Your child's nervous system is doing exactly what it evolved to do. When threat is detected, an emotional overwhelm registers as threat in the body. The system conserves resources. It narrows focus. It reduces output. Going quiet is protective. The silence is not your child pulling away from you. It is your child's body trying to survive a moment that feels, internally, like too much. The question is not why your child shuts down. The question is what your child's nervous system has learned to perceive as threatening in the first place. Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, former Surgeon General of California, and a leading researcher in childhood adversity, spent years documenting what stress does to the developing body. Her work showed that repeated exposure to emotional overwhelm, even in otherwise loving households, can sensitize a child's stress response system over time. This means the threshold lowers. Situations that might roll off one child can send another into full shutdown. It is not weakness. It is wiring shaped by experience. And here is where you have more power than you might think. Every interaction you have with your child is either raising or lowering that threshold. Every time a child experiences emotional safety in your presence, the nervous system learns that this person is not a threat. Every time a child is pushed, shamed, or escalated against during a difficult moment, the nervous system files that information away. It does not forget. It recalibrates. And next time, it shuts down sooner. This is why what you do in the moment of shutdown matters more than almost anything else you do as a parent. So, what do most parents actually do? They push, they repeat the question louder. They say things like, "I know you can hear me," or "You need to talk to me right now," or "This behavior is unacceptable." They interpret the silence as a power struggle and respond with more pressure. And the child sinks deeper. Not because they are being difficult, because more pressure reads as more threat, and more threat means the nervous system doubles down on its only available protection, silence. Some parents do the opposite. They walk away. They say, "Fine, talk to me when you're ready," and leave the child alone in the shutdown. This feels respectful on the surface. But for many children, especially those with anxious attachment or high emotional sensitivity, physical withdrawal in a moment of overwhelm does not feel like space. It feels like abandonment, and abandonment is its own kind of threat. Neither pushing nor leaving gives the nervous system what it actually needs. What does it need? Co-regulation. This is the term researchers use to describe the process by which a calm, regulated adult nervous system helps bring a dysregulated child's nervous system back online. Dr. Stephen Porges, a neuroscientist at Indiana University who developed polyvagal theory, has spent decades studying how mammals use social cues, tone of voice, facial expression, physical proximity to signal safety to one another. His research shows that the human nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for signals of threat or safety, often completely below conscious awareness. Your child's nervous system is scanning you right now. It is reading your jaw, your breathing, the tension in your shoulders, the speed of your words. If those signals say danger, even if your words say calm down, the shutdown deepens. This means the single most powerful thing you can do when your child goes silent is to regulate yourself first. Slow your breath. Drop your shoulders. Soften your face, not as a performance, not as a technique you're applying, but as a genuine shift in your own state. Because your child's nervous system does not read your intentions. It reads your body. Once you have done that, once you are actually calm, not performing calm, the next move is counterintuitive. Stop talking. Stop asking questions. Questions require answers, and your child's language centers are still offline. A question in that moment is pressure. Instead, simply be near. Sit down, not across from them, not towering above them, beside them, at their level. Close enough that your presence registers, but without demanding anything in return. And then say very little. Something like, "I am here. Or I am not going anywhere. Not, I am here because I want you to talk. I'm not going anywhere until you explain yourself. Just the plain fact. I am here, and then go quiet. This is what Dr. Siegel calls connect before you redirect. The brain cannot receive information. Process, consequence. Or engage in conversation while it is in survival mode. Trying to problem solve, discipline, or extract an explanation during a shutdown is like trying to teach someone to swim while they are drowning. The connection has to come first. The regulated nervous system has to come first. Everything else, the conversation, the understanding, the repair, comes after. And it will come. Not always quickly. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes 20. But when the nervous system finally registers safety, when the lid comes back down, and the prefrontal cortex re-engages, your child will often come to you. They will lean in or start to cry or say something small that opens the door. That is the moment. That is when the real conversation can happen. Here is something important about that conversation. When you do get there, resist the urge to immediately explain, instruct, or teach. Your child's nervous system just went through something significant. The first words they need from you are not a lesson. They are acknowledgement. Something like that felt like a lot. Or I could see you were really overwhelmed. Not fixing, not analyzing, just seeing them. Research out of the University of Washington, much of it associated with Dr. John Gottman's work on emotional coaching, found that children whose parents regularly acknowledged and named their emotions developed stronger self-regulation, better peer relationships, and higher academic performance over time. Not because the parents were permissive or avoided consequences, but because the children learned, at the level of felt experience, that their inner world was not something to be ashamed of or hidden, that it was safe to feel things in the presence of this person. That is what you are building. Every time you sit quietly beside a child who has gone silent, you are not losing a power struggle. You are building a nervous system. You are teaching through your body and your presence that overwhelm does not have to mean alone, that big feelings can be survived, that this relationship is a safe place. Now, what about the patterns that lead to repeated shutdowns? Because if your child is going quiet regularly, there is usually something underneath that is worth understanding. Sometimes it is temperament. Some children are simply more sensitive, more internally focused, more easily overwhelmed by emotional input. This is not pathology. It is a trait, and it requires a different kind of attunement. Sometimes, repeated shutdowns point to a dynamic in the household where emotional expression has, over time, felt unsafe. Not necessarily because anything dramatic has happened, but because small moments, a dismissal here, do it, CV, you're overreacting there, an impatient eye roll, have added up. Children are exquisitely sensitive to these cues. They learn quickly what is welcome and what is not. And sometimes shutdowns are tied to specific relationships, specific topics, or specific emotional experiences that carry particular weight for the child. In those cases, the shutdown is not random. It is a signal. Your child is telling you, in the only language available to them in that moment, that this topic, this dynamic, this feeling is too big to hold right now. Your job is not to force the conversation open. Your job is to keep showing up, calmly, consistently, without pressure, until your child's nervous system has accumulated enough evidence that you can be trusted with the big stuff. This takes longer than one good conversation. It takes longer than one good week. It is built in increments, in the ordinary moments, in how you respond when they spill something, in how you handle your own frustration, in whether you come back and repair after a hard moment. Trust is cumulative. Safety is cumulative. And so is shutdown. You have more influence here than you realize, not through force, not through the right words at the right time, but through who you are in the room, through the steadiness of your nervous system, the consistency of your presence, the willingness to sit in silence without making it mean something terrible. Your child went silent because their body was trying to survive, and the way you help them survive better, over time,